Yeah, because on my end I see a live button, but I see it has a pause icon next to it. So I'm guessing that means the recording hasn't happened yet, maybe?
Right, the recording hasn't happened because then we
That
have
makes
to
sense. We haven't
edit
started
the
yet. I
chatter.
mean, so that makes sense. So
And I reached out to Mordecai from Kojo.
yeah,
So
didn't Mordecai get back to you? I saw that on the agenda. So
yeah, I am double check my. Oh my gosh, I don't have my phone nearby. How can that be? Hang on.
mhm. Let's see.
Our next board meeting is in person.
I know, I saw
So
that.
I mean, okay, it's gonna be a little less comfortable, but it's gonna be nice to
Yep,
see each other in person.
that's true. The sun will be out. The sun will be out when we start. The sun will be gone when it's over. And then yeah, we'll see how people feel about that stuff. Just because I haven't paid attention to the race at all, the COVID race this year, but yeah, I saw the email about us being in person. And also the way things are panning out, it's going to be like later in April too, right? It's the third Monday in April,
The
I believe, right?
17th.
Yep, just the way
Mhm.
things have worked out. So, well, good news is it doesn't fall on April Fools. That would be rough. I mean, so people would
Well,
go, People would go, are you really? It's like, well, yeah, we are. We're not kidding. Like this will actually happen. Yes. Give me a second. Let me get my pencil. Actually, not my pencil. Let me get my pen. Just because got to get ready to take notes for the meeting in case I have to. So, all right. So I got my pen. All right. Cool. So, all right. Give me a second, folks. I'm going to be off the video for like 90 seconds and I'll be right back.
Totally allowed.
Fantastic.
Hi, everybody. Joe Dwight hanging out here.
Hey, Joe. How you doing? Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Good to see you guys.
You too. All right. Excuse me, folks. All right. I see we got people coming in, which is very nice. So, good evening, folks. Hello, hello.
good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm wondering if we should wait maybe another 2 minutes in case we had more people join us, or if we should get started. Let's see.
Carl, I defer to you. I am reaching out to Kojo to try to locate Mordecai.
Oh, I see Mordecai. I see Mordecai. It looks like
Oh,
I see.
there. Yeah, sorry.
Yep,
Hi,
yep, yep.
Mordecai. How are you? So if you want to take the agenda in that order, the conversation with Kojo first, and then our planning to
Yep.
follow.
Let's do that. Yes,
And
definitely.
just tell me when we're all systems go, and I will begin to record.
Sure. So how about we start recording right now? All right.
Well
So excellent. So folks, good evening and happy Monday. And so I hope the weekend treated everyone well and that today's treating them as well too. So I'm Carl, community board member for Community Board 14 in Brooklyn and co-chair of the Education, Youth Services Libraries Committee. And so for today's meeting, we have 3 topics, right? The first one is a presentation from Kojo, and then the second piece is continuing our final preparation for the 60th Annual Youth Conference that's going to take place on Monday, April 3rd. And then the third piece is other business. And so without further ado, Mordecai, I turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, and appreciate your inviting me. And it's an honor to be in the same quote unquote room. So I have a great, I'm sure young people consider this a room. I'm old enough, as you can see, that this is like, a room. In any case, so thank you very much for inviting me. As you heard, I work for Kojo of Flatbush, Council of Jewish Organizations, and I'm the director of the Summer Youth Employment Program. And I'd like to spend a few moments talking to you about two sides of the program. The first is that, well, let me take a step back. The Summer Youth Employment Program is a city-sponsored program, excuse me, and in which any New York resident, 5 boroughs, resident youth between the ages of 14 and 24, very expansive definition of youth, is eligible to participate in the program and to be employed and earn some money for 6 weeks in the summer. In order to implement the program, the city contracts with community-based organizations like Kojo, that's us, and we actually reach out to both the youth of the community all over and to potential work sites where kids could work. And we create these relationships and kind of make matches, and eventually, we'll have kids who apply to the program, and we'll be looking for places where they could get good work experience. Basically, almost any work experience is good during the summer on the city's tab. And as the city of New York will pay these kids and work any kind of business, office, professional office, service, restaurants, retail, wholesale, warehouses, day camps, you name it. All of these are potential places where kids could be employed. And so we are always looking for new locations where we could place youth so that they could have the experience of working in businesses. So I here, my first interest in being here is to talk to you about reaching out to CB14 businesses, professionals of all sorts, anyone that you can reach out to, and help us get in contact with them and to basically offer them free workers on the city's tab. So here's your tax dollars hard at work coming to work for you in your place of work. And it can be really, we do concentrate in the central South Brooklyn area, but we do have workers. We do have work sites pretty much anywhere in Brooklyn, even a few in Manhattan. So if there's a good opportunity that you know of, you say, hey, I know a guy who runs a business, or someone who has an office and could use some help, and it would be a good opportunity for kids, then let us know. If we can't service that particular location, we'll find someone who can. But we're looking for contacts. We're always looking for people we can talk to. Basically, like I said, to offer them free, very eager workers. And I mean that seriously. Kids get a bum rap. That's the truth. There are a few bad apples out there, but it's overwhelmingly, they're wonderful. And we get excellent, excellent reviews at the end of every summer. Oh, the kids you sent us were just fantastic. I don't know how you found such wonderful kids. Well, the answer is we don't have any particular magic formula for finding wonderful kids. We just find kids, and kids in general are wonderful. And people, they end up doing really good stuff for the businesses they work for, and it's a good opportunity. And the truth is even more so that when you find out what they actually accomplished, whether it's for a business or, for example, Maimonides Hospital is a very big partner in this program, and they have probably one of the best articulated programs in the city of any location, where they have an office that their Office of Volunteers coordinates with all of their departments. And if they get a kid who's interested in neurology, one day wants to be a neurologist, they will actually place that kid working in the neurology department. They won't be doing surgery, but they'll certainly be talking to it, learning about it, hearing about it, and they actually run a very beautiful appreciation program at the end of the summer, and they bring all the kids together in a big auditorium, and they have a bunch of wonderful speakers, and then they give them a good lunch. That's always a good plus. They talk about what the kids have done and what kinds of contributions they have made, and it really will knock your socks off. So the kids really have tremendous potential to contribute, and that's true across the board. So I don't feel at all like a beggar coming to work sites. We really are offering something valuable. So any of you, through your community activism and contacts, who could help us reach out to businesses, offices of any sort, we would be grateful for those. And of course, you can always contact me at Coach Flatbush. I'm Mordechai Kruger. That's mkruger@jewishcouncil.org, MKRUGER @jewishcouncil.org. I certainly will follow up and contact these places, and hopefully we'll be able to arrange for kids to work there. Now, of course, the businesses, not only do we pay the kids' salaries, the kids can earn $15 per hour. And they can work up to 25 hours per week for the 6 weeks of the program. So not only does the city pay their salary, but the city also pays their liability. So there's no exposure for the business at all. There's no risk at all. Everything is covered by the city. And of course, that's very reassuring to business owners. They don't want to feel like they could get left holding the tab for something, and they won't. This is all on the treasury of the city of New York. I'm sure all of us who are hardworking taxpayers would be very happy to spend some of that treasury on our kids of our own community, helping them get a real benefit. And it really is a real benefit for these kids. So that's thing number one, is that we're always looking for new work sites. Second thing is, of course, we're also looking for kids who might benefit from the program, because of course, today there are so many ways to get out information that everyone has become very extremely effective at ignoring all of them. And therefore, it's very hard to get information out to people. Much as we try through many, many media, through the schools, through advertising, through emails and text messages and all kinds of things, to let kids know that this opportunity exists. We always are looking for more ways to reach out to youth, again, from the ages of 14 to 24, to let them know about this wonderful program. This is the application period right now. The official application period will end on March 31st. So we're getting to, we have some time, but not a lot of time. And though typically year by year, they do extend it for another week or so into April. But by mid-April, they will already begin running lotteries to select youth from the applications to give them the opportunity to join the program. So we want to make sure that as many kids as possible get this opportunity. The mayor sometimes the Mayor Adams has really made this a flag program. He talks about it all the time, and we're very grateful for that, of course. He talks about that every kid who applies will get a job. It's not exactly that way. You know how politicians talk, but it has expanded greatly. We did put over 100,000 kids to work last summer, which is a record, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And he says he wants to exceed it this year. So there's really a lot of opportunities. A lot of kids are going to get this opportunity, but they've got to apply. So any way that you can, to any organizations you work with, or any educational situations you work with, or if you could let me know about, you might say, well, I know that in my little corner of CB14, there's this community newspaper that everybody reads. Please let me know. We'll place an ad in it and say, hey, make sure your kids have applied for summer youth. Or if there's even, a radio show, or I guess I'm showing my age here. I don't know if people do that anymore. Any way that you know of, that you and your peers do pay attention to, or even that their kids pay attention to, by all means, please let us know, because we are looking to make sure that as many kids as possible get the opportunity, and that means that they have to fill out applications. Okay, questions, comments?
So, so Mordechai, so thank you
Yes.
very much for sharing all that info. And then just a quick pause before we do canvas for questions. I just want to acknowledge that Sharon Fuchs is here from Senator Felder's office. So Sharon, thank you for joining us. And then back to the questions. And so, yes, so I see, let's go with Joe, and then we'll go with Dwayne.
Thank you, Carl. And Mordecai, thank you so much. I have a pretty large list of folks in my community. We have about 100,000 Sephardic Jews here in Brooklyn, and I'd love to be able to get the word out. I need to have a little bit more information other than your email address of how people can apply, and
Sure.
how do I get that? And how do I disseminate it?
So the best thing to do would be to send me an email now, and then tomorrow morning when I sit down at my desk, I will find it, and I will send you all of that information.
I will do it immediately. Thank you, Mordecai.
Okay, so mkruger@jewishcouncil.org, and off and running.
Done.
Great.
Thank you.
That was easy.
That was a warm up. So,
okay.
So thank you, Joe. So now, Dwayne, you're up.
Thank you, Carl. Good evening, everyone. Mordecai, thank you for presenting. Apologies to everyone for my tardiness. So the hard question is, I actually do know a couple of businesses. I had an opportunity to speak with the folks at the Cortelli Merchants Association at their meeting last week to tell them about our youth conference, and I begged them. I won't be ashamed to say it. I begged them to sign up to host some kids this summer. So I would love to get you in contact with them. I know Sean also has their contact information, but I'm happy to do an introduction as well. And if there's a possibility, I might actually have a radio station for you to do some advertising with. So I'll definitely send you an email to do that. But I just want to thank you for offering the opportunity for businesses to join in this. When I spoke to a lot of the merchants last week, the word really wasn't, like you said, it wasn't getting out to them as well as not getting out to the kids about them becoming work sites. And they were very surprised that they could host, up to 5 kids in their business for the summer for 6 weeks, and the city would cover everything for them, and all they would have to do is supervise them. So they were very shocked that was even a thing. So I definitely will do my best to get you in contact with them.
Wonderful. And it's actually, there's no particular limit of 5 kids. It could be more depending on the nature of the work site. As long as there's something positive and constructive for them to do, I have emphasized that, a business doesn't have to say, well, I wouldn't hire someone myself to do that. So can I have a kid do it? And I said, yeah, these are kids. They don't have to be full-fledged, contributing like on salary workers. Anything that gets them into the work environment and gives them real responsibilities, is a very positive experience for them.
If the chair would allow, just a follow-up question.
Yes, go ahead. Sure. Mhm.
So Mordecai, just a quick question, because businesses always ask, do they have an opportunity at any point to interview the
Yes.
kids? Okay.
Yes.
And they would do once they would have to select you guys as the work site, and then
In other words, when
let
they
you
would,
know.
what I'll send, the information I'll send you will include how the businesses apply, and then they select Council of Jewish Organizations as a provider. They can actually select more than one provider. They're, and all of them could be in the running to supply them with eager young workers. I think there's about 30 odd providers around the city. And the truth is, of course, especially if they say, hey, that provider, whatever neighborhood association is right in my backyard, and their applicants are likely to be right here. And of course, they'll be very interested in working at a business that's very conveniently located. So that it's a possibility. But in any case, we do, when we make a match, after the kid is accepted in the program, we contact them and try to find out what kind of work they might be interested in. And we say, well, there's such and such a business at this address. It's not far from your house, and they're looking for what you have in mind. We give them the manager's phone number and email address and say, okay, now you have to make a connection with that person, which is part of the educational impact of the program. Because a kid learns that, hey, I actually have to take agency, pick up the phone, speak like a mature young person, and say, hi, my name is John Smith, and I'm interested in working at your place during the summer in the summer youth program, and can I come in and meet you? And he says, yes, come in at Tuesday at 3:30 in the afternoon. Well, we have just started teaching this kid how to be a functioning and contributing member of society, because that's the kind of stuff that, other than the workplace, people don't have that experience. So they get to meet the kid. Overwhelmingly, because again, this is a kid, you're going to say, fine, yeah, I'm sure this is going to be wonderful. And there you go. You set up a schedule, be here July 5th at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'll put you to work. So that's the typical way it works, but you do get to meet the kid ahead of time. And the truth is that also, this is not like a soda bottle, no deposit, no return. It's if it turns out during the summer that Junior is really not doing what he oughter, you can call me up and say, it's not turning out so great, and I think he'd be better off somewhere else. So, even though it's only for 6 weeks, and therefore mostly you can figure out a way to make it work at least for 6 weeks. The bottom line is that if it's really detrimental on both sides, we will reassign Junior to somewhere else, unless he's done something egregious, in which case, yeah, sometimes we have to sell him, but that's very rare. But you do have that option. So there's safety valves all around.
Yes, thank you. I'm very familiar with the program. I've hosted at one point 25 kids.
Oh, fantastic!
For
wow.
So,
and I'm sure they all grew, and they grew from it tremendously.
I hope they did.
Yeah,
I know I did.
Yeah, that's also true. Then you could probably speak to that even more directly. But I've seen, businessmen who and women who have taken kids into their offices. They call me out and it's like, it's unbelievable how much growth there was. Like, I took in this kid who was just a scraggly little, nothing, and by the end of the summer, they were running the place. It really is nice to see.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And so next person up, I see Sarah, you have your hand up.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm one of the community coordinators. If we haven't met yet, it's lovely to be here. Mordecai, thank you so much. Carl Henry, thank you for moderating the meeting. Is there a set block of 6 weeks that they work? Is it like it starts July 5th and it ends? Do you have those dates?
Yes. Yeah. So there's two options. They can either start on July 5th and go for 6 weeks, which ends on August 12th. Or they can start on July 10th, which is the following Monday, and work for 6 weeks, which ends on the 19th.
Thank you.
Right, but either way, it's 6 weeks straight from whichever date they start, they get 6 weeks straight, up to 25 hours per week, $15 an hour, and the ultimate payoff is $22.50 for the summer minus taxes, because there's always taxes. That's also something they have to learn.
I feel like someone may have said taxes are the price of civilization. I don't know. I never.
Yeah, I agree with it. Listen, my salary is paid by taxes, so I'm not complaining about taxes.
And so I see next we have a question from Sean. So Sean, you're up.
Hi, thank you. I'm wondering, the 100,000 placements last year and the number that we're trying to beat, I'm just trying to add some historical context. That's a much, much bigger number than, say, 2, 3, 4 years prior. So, Mark,
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know sort of about the numbers, how much it has expanded in the past 4-ish years, and how that's changed the percentage of applicants who are actually getting placed?
I know that about certainly the last year pre-COVID, which was 2020. No, 2019. 2020 was COVID. 2019, I believe there were 70,000. So that's some perspective on the growth. That's a pretty big percentage. And they always are looking for about a 2-to-1 ratio of applications to actual placements, because since we are dealing with kids, what does happen, is that they get selected and you say, okay, you want to register? Nah, I decided to do something else. Okay, well, hey, free world. Yeah, everybody chooses their, whatever works for them. In order to fill those slots, we're looking to like about a 50% rate of applicants will actually get employed. But a lot of those that don't get a job, it's because they decided that they really don't want one.
Thank you.
Got you. And Mordechai, I have 2 questions. And so the first one is, as you were mentioning about the program details, the students can work the students can work like 6 weeks up to 25 hours a week, right? And so
Correct.
my
So
first question,
if I could just clarify
yes,
that to make sure I don't mislead anyone.
sure,
I
sure,
mentioned
please.
that the program is from 14 to 24. 14 and 15-year-olds don't actually get placed at jobs. The city has sliced off that age group, and they have a 12.5-hour per week educational experience that focuses on career choice and career preparation. And they make less money.
Okay.
So the actual description that I was giving fits more completely 16 to 24-year-olds.
Okay. Awesome. No, thank you for that differentiation. Because then, yes, because my first question is going to be about that age group. And so, is there a minimum amount of hours that these students, I guess these youth from 16 to 24 can work, right? Because if 25, I believe, is the ceiling, then like, what's the floor? I guess that's my first question.
There's no official floor, but we certainly like these slots to be used by kids who are going to max up the opportunity.
Okay.
So obviously, the world, life is life, and so if it turns out their schedule allows for them to do 20 hours a week, we're not going to complain.
Yep.
But if somebody says, "Well, I can really only do 5 hours a week," on one day I'll come in for 5 hours. I don't know if that's really fair to the other kids who are waiting and really would like that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of like talk to them about that and say, like, what's really going on here? Are you really being fair to others?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a limited opportunity. Not everyone's going to get in. So we try to keep it up there. But
Gotcha.
there's no official limit. And certainly if something comes up, and they just have to not work that week, then okay, life happens.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. And then the other question I had too is about, for the organizations, when they, if they choose you as a provider to sign up with as a work site, is that the process the same regardless if they're a local business or I guess more established or a chain? And I guess the thought exercise that I have is on Flatbush right by Cortell, you have that Morris Heights Health Center that recently opened up, and then on Flatbush just past Church Avenue across from the Chase, you have, I think, that urgent care.
Mhm.
And so I'm just wondering if I'm in urgent care versus a Morris Heights Health Center, would the process be the same? If either agency decided, hey, I'm interested,
No,
it's a
that
thought exercise. So like,
you
what
know,
does that do?
those considerations are really inside the organization rather than
Okay.
on our side. It's
Okay. Okay.
whatever they have to sign up off on, and whoever,
Hmm.
whatever bureaucracy has to, put their John Hancock on it one way or another to,
Yep.
make sure all their T's are crossed.
Okay.
But as far as we're concerned, we really deal with the location, and there's a manager, there's a point person at that location who has ultimately signed that I agree to participate in this program, and
Hmm.
the following individuals in my location will be supervising youth, and we're good with that.
Okay. Got you. Thank you for that clarity. I appreciate it. And so I see another hand up. Deborah, you're up.
Yeah, it's hi, thanks for joining us. Is there income limit? Because I remember when I
No.
was a kid, it was income.
Yes, there used to be a requirement that the youth document the family income. They had to provide pay stubs and et cetera. But there isn't anymore. There's absolutely no, they don't even have, there is, because that's how bureaucracies work. There's still a question on the application that asks for family annual income, but you can put anything you want because absolutely no one is checking up on it. I didn't say that. But the bottom line is it makes absolutely no difference. And since we actually know the neighborhood a little bit, it's kind of cute sometimes because we know that there are kids who are applying that really haven't got very much at all. But then there are kids who are really loaded, but but even those kids want the satisfaction of going to a job and bringing home a paycheck. The fact that daddy's got a wad, so what? And it's kind of cute to see the juxtaposition, but it doesn't make any difference. There is no income guideline at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Mordechai. And so, heads up for you, Mordechai. We just posted in the chat that we'll follow up with you to make sure you have the list of the new CBOs in the community.
Excellent.
Okay, so yeah, so that's an action item on our end that we'll follow up with you on. And then
Great.
I'm looking at the attendees. I don't see any hands up. So does that mean that folks on the call, there are no more questions at this time? Okay, I guess not. And so hearing none, Mordechai.
Carl, I actually,
Oh,
a new
Sean,
hand
what's up?
went up, a hand did go up.
Shoot, I just yes. How do I pronounce your name? Is it Lucia, or how do I pronounce your name?
Hi, my name is Licia.
Oh, hello, Lucia. Yes, what is your question?
I have a question. If you have 14 and 15-year-olds and there's a location that would, want to work with them, is it okay for them to be at a location, or do they have to do that?
I get a lot of that.
program?
Especially day camps would love to have 14 and 15-year-olds as junior counselors, but unfortunately not. I cannot, the program just doesn't allow that. So the 15-year-olds are in this, what's the word I'm looking for? Mixed, there's a better word. In-person and online educational experience for which they can earn a stipend. See, that's really the difference. The city needed to save some money because when they expanded the program to 100,000 kids, they couldn't afford to pay all of them $15 an hour. So they came up with this division of younger youth that are not working, and therefore they don't get a salary, and therefore the minimum wage law doesn't apply, and they can pay them $700 for the summer. That's kind of like but that's how it works. But unfortunately, no. I do have sites that have said I'd really love to have. I have some work that's really appropriate for 14, 15-year-olds, and I'd love to have them. And I have to, unfortunately, be the Grinch that says can't do it. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Thank
so,
you.
Lucia, did he answer your question?
Yes, sir, he did.
Okay, no problems. Thank you for raising your hand and asking.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank
So,
you.
no problem. So let me see. So I see. Do I pronounce your name Tamara? Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, that's fine, Tamara.
Okay. Yes. So
Hi,
you're up.
everyone. Good evening. So with the 14, 15-year-olds, will this program be through the DOE schools, or are there, some other CBOs involved in
So,
the education program?
there is a little bit of a partnership with the Department of Education in terms of that we hire teachers and the curriculum is developed in conjunction with the Department of Education. They have some people that work on this, but it's not a DOE program. It's a DYCD program that happens to kind of like take advantage of some educational resources.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you as well. And so let's see. Do any? Oh, yep. What's up, Mordechai?
I,
You
I
got
s- I thought I saw a hand.
a. You may have. I mean,
I may
so.
have.
Let's see. I don't see any other hand. Oh, Dwayne,
I have a quick
you
hand,
back?
Carl. Just to let folks know, because there are a lot of there's always a lot of questions about the 14 to 15-year-olds. I dropped in the chat a link to the DYCD's, I call it the FAQ site, but it's their informational page about both parts of the program and the different cohorts.
Thank you so much.
And who the providers are. So if there are parties on here that parents, grandparents, guardians, whomever, aunties, uncles that want to get their young people into specific programs, they can find out what programs are available, especially in our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that, Dwayne. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And so, last call for questions. Let's see, going once, going twice. I don't see any more hands. And so, Mordechai, that concludes this part of tonight's presentation. So thank you very much for your time and sharing this information. Much appreciated. And then the second half is us finalizing our preparations. And so Sean, I see no problem with, like, if you wanted to stay and listen, then great. But if your schedule is crazy and you need to hop off, then you're also free to do that as well.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you too. All right then. And so for part 2 of tonight's committee meeting, this portion is devoted to some final preparations for our youth conference, which is going to take place on Monday, April 3rd from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Subo building in Brooklyn College. And so with that, let's kick it off.
I'm gonna, first of all, I want to thank Patricia and Sarah for spending extra time at on their workday to be with us this evening. They've been doing the lion's share of the work in the office. And so I thought maybe they would start us off with a quick report on how many organizations we have signed up and how many young people have already registered. We didn't rehearse this, so whichever one of you wants to jump in and take over. Go ahead, Sarah.
I can do it. Hi, everybody, again. Yeah, so planning for the youth conference is going great. I would say one thing, which is that it's called the Student Center now, not Subo.
Oh, okay. No, good correction. Thank you for that.
I think I have it as the Student Union on things as well. But it's the Student Center and it's at 2705 Campus Road. It's right off Flatbush. But we have 50 organizations that have signed up. 47. Okay, 47 is the technical number. And those include, FDNY, they include a couple of CUNY schools, they include various Canva programs. We got the Department of Labor to come this year, which I'm excited about, and they're going to do a presentation, or they're going to have information on apprenticeships. And then we have some coding, some summer programs, some financial services, a real variety of things. And then last I checked, we had 385 kids signed up, which is a lot, which we're really excited about. Presumably they won't all come at the same time, so we won't totally be bum rushed. But yeah, I think it's shaping up to be really good. We're actually sort of hitting the maximum for how many organizations we can have. We have 51 tables within the student center building, and we might be able to compress some of the smaller organizations together, but I do think we'll hit a point where we reach capacity pretty soon. One of our Congress members may be attending. We've reached out to the city council members to just remind them that maybe they want to have a little come and wave and glad hand. And we have a couple of different proposals for workshops. I think that's part of what we're going to discuss today. And okay, Sean's going to talk about them. And we're leaning towards a panel, having panels. And then, yeah, are there any other? I have an array. We have posters in multiple different languages. We have both digital versions of those, which are available on the Google Drive. We have printed out versions of them in the office, which I'm sure we're going to tell you multiple times during the course of this meeting to come pick up. And we have a volunteer sign up, which I don't think we've gotten many signups for yet. So maybe I'll find that form and I'll drop that in the chat. But yeah, everything looks really good. Patricia, do you have anything you want to add?
No, other than that people can sign up to participate or organizations to ask to request a table at our website, the youth conference website. But I think that was quite complete.
Yeah, it was very thorough. I will jump in to add that 47 doesn't include some of the organizations that we know for sure will be there. It's sort of funny, like the more closely you work with an organization, the slower they are to sign up. So I am quite certain that COPO is going to sign up, FDC is going to sign up, the Explorers will be signing up, and Kojo just signed up today. So so some of our, and Drum is definitely going to be there. So that 47 is really looking, closer to low 50s. And also includes Community Board 14, because we're going to make sure we table at our own event this year, which is one of the options, for volunteers. And yes, there are flyers in the office. They've been translated into Russian, Urdu, Spanish, which was done in-house thanks to staff, Haitian Creole. Am I missing one? English.
No, there's 5. So English and 4 other languages.
We have posters and flyers. And then I've got more to add because there are some outstanding questions for sure. But I see hands up, so I can pause if you want me to, Carl, for the questions.
Yes, let's do that. And so I know I have a question, but first let me defer to Nina. And then and then after Nina, I'll go unless other hands pop up and then I'll put them before me. So Nina, good evening, you're up.
Hi, my video did go on. Hi, yeah, at the last meeting, I had brought up an interest in having some kind of table or a corner or something presenting nursing as a career in nursing education, and then I guess I kind of dropped the ball because I wasn't quite sure where to go from there. I did gather some stuff. I have to say I am amazed at how many people never got back to me or said, oh, they just have to go to our website if they're interested, and that kind of thing, which I kind of wasn't real useful, I felt, for something like this. But anyway, I'm just kind of, I guess my question is, where can I go with it from here?
Well, I feel remiss that I meant to follow up to clarify, because we exchanged words about it, but then didn't have a full conversation. But if there is somebody, we haven't done just information tables. We've done, if the table is going to be staffed by somebody who can have conversation with the people who are going to gather the materials, then whoever that person or organization is should just sign up using the form and register for a table so that it's there for the stuff. If it's just information, we haven't done that before.
Well, no, I mean, I planned on being there.
So then just fill out the form, just fill out the registration link, so that
Okay,
table is set aside for you.
Okay, so I guess here's my other question then. Since you have some CUNY tables, whether they're going to be together and maybe whether I can kind of I don't know, since all of the material that I wound up with is, well, 2 CUNY schools in particular that gave me stuff. And then just something which I did find online, which I can print out, which gives all of the schools that have nursing programs. I didn't wind up with like a huge amount of stuff. So I don't, that's why I guess I'm trying to figure out. I don't need a big table if I have my own table.
We'll note that you can share a table and and put you with the program and CUNY if they're not going to take up a whole table. If that's a graceful dovetail, then we can do that. But you can
Okay.
put that in the notes and the link's been dropped into the chat.
Okay, so then I'll follow the link and then just, I guess, add in that information if that works.
Groovy, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. And otherwise, I'll do whatever I can to help out.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Nina. Much appreciated. So I see Elizabeth, you have your hand up. You're up.
Hi. Yeah, I was just, it's really great, all this work that has been done here and all the work that's been done all previous years and continuing to build on it. I am sorry I couldn't make some of the earlier youth conference planning schedules. Had conflicts for those meetings, but I know I signed up on the link to volunteer, and I was just wondering if I should if I should expect that there's going to be information, or I should just show up when I am available and just come. Also just wanted to know, in case I pass along to other people, what they should expect, if they should definitely hold the slot, or if there's maybe not enough volunteer job positions or whatever for things, if people are waiting to hear back from people from CB14 before they schedule it formally in their calendar and make sure to hold the time. Just wanted to follow up on that. Thanks.
Do you want me to take that? We will send out an email to everybody who has signed up to volunteer closer to the date. I think the general assumption should be that if you signed up to volunteer, we will use you. I think we figured out that we have we'll need 8 or 9 volunteers in any given slot. There are going to be a couple of different slots, so people don't work for 4 hours minus, us. But yeah, if you signed up, you should assume that you are going to be volunteering that day. Exactly what hour is TBD. I have to go through the responses. We only have 4 now, so maybe folks will take this as a prompt in this meeting to fill out the form, and then I can send an email later this week to folks who have signed up, even it's just hold the date. I can do that. Thanks for that note.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. And so let me just check to see if I see any additional hands up. I don't see at the time being. And so yeah, my question is from the last planning meeting that we had some people who had said they'd be definitely happy to help. They'd be happy to help with school outreach. And so from the organizations that have signed up and the students that have signed up, by any chance, has our office heard back from specific schools that have confirmed, hey, we did get it, or not? Because I know the tough thing with following up with the schools is knowing which schools did actually spread the word and which ones didn't.
So Sarah's going to do a mailing to the schools that are really in our in our pond and close to the shore, but there isn't really a way to know. I mean, there's not a way to check that they have it, they absorbed it, and they're disseminating it. But I will say 385 pre-registered youth community members 2 weeks before the event is way, way more than we've ever had before. So I think that's testament to the word getting out. I think it might have something to do with the QR code being on the poster for the first time, and that making it so much simpler to just sign up on the spot. We've walked into this event where we've had over 500 young people take advantage of it, but where we were walking in with only about 185 pre-registered. So this is a really big number. And I almost got nervous that there'd be so many, but then I decided that would be a good problem. That's silly. So I stopped.
Sean, I wanted, I don't know if you mentioned this, but there's an announcement going on in the Link NYC kiosk in our district and also nearby districts. And that could also, I believe that could be one of the reasons why the word's getting out too.
And then the other thing, thank you, Dwayne, Joseph, for drafting an excellent, I shouldn't even say drafting because it was done, for writing an excellent press release. It goes out first thing tomorrow. We had talked about today, but I was still waiting on some elected official quotes, and it's chock full of them. So, that'll head out tomorrow to all of to our local print press, and I wish Mordechai was still here, radio stations, all that.
Got you.
That,
All right.
so that'll end up being more. I think the thing, sort of outstanding thing that I want time to discuss is what we're doing about workshops and mock interviews, but I can pause again because there's hands up again.
Yes, I see Dwayne has his hand up, and so Dwayne, you're up, my friend.
No, because Sean is inside my head. I was just going to ask what we're doing about
Ah,
workshops.
so
if we
Sean saw the
decided what
future
was
and she
gonna
beat you
happen.
to it. Okay, got it. She hacked the time stone. All right, I got it. So we're here.
Cool. Hi, Eric. Where'd you
Hi,
go? Oh, there
hi,
you are.
Sean.
You just moved
I'm
up to the
here.
corner.
Yeah, I like to move around.
Good. Looking forward to seeing you like tomorrow or the next day when you stop by the office to pick up a whole bunch of flyers to go post them all over town.
Awesome. I will see you tomorrow then. What time? What time should I come?
They're 9 to 5. The posters are ready
All right.
for you.
All right. Well, it sounds like William and I know what we're doing tomorrow.
Awesome. It's supposed to be a nice day.
Perfect.
Good. See how we did that? Thank you. Thank you for so workshops. We there were like 17, 16, 17 agencies, organizations and such who said they would do a workshop. Not everything was really workshoppy though. A lot of it was them describing what they would do at their tables. So we were able to sort of, I mean, I kind of just drilled down on the ones that were beyond tabling. And I think I'm thinking along having panels so that we can get those who had really great ideas and actual workshop type programming, all to have time. And they group into two different sort of categories. So one is a health and well-being category, and there are 3 organizations that fit into that, and the other is a jobs and career readiness category. So for the job career readiness, JCR, there's an organization that wanted to do resume review workshop, interview skills, professionalism, customer service, and then explains a little bit more on those 3 things. And then the other is our dear friends at the Brooklyn Public Library who want to talk about the job and career readiness and resources for teens at BPL. And it's an interactive overview of job and career related services. So it seems to go together if you want to put them together. And the HWB, Health and Wellbeing organizations include Theo, which comes to this event every year, and they want to do a Here to Slay about social media influence on self-esteem. We also have Making the Impossible Possible organization doing a healthy eating, financial wellness, and then NYC Smoke Free, which is self-explanatory. So I kind of wanted to know how you feel about doing panels. And then the other thing that's out there is how to balance time on workshops with time and space for the mock interviews, because the way the rooms lay out at the student center we've got the big room upstairs, the what do you call it? Anyway, the top floor, and then
The
and then
Vivarium, the bird room.
yeah, it's called something, one of those things. The big bright room on the top floor.
The penthouse.
Penthouse, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I'm just not fancy enough to remember penthouse. The penthouse on the top floor, and then the big room on the second floor sorry, the 5th floor, just below that. And then there's that gold room or maroon room, which is kind of a classroom, a big classroom. But we've done the snacks and the workshops. And then one year we didn't do workshops. We did the snacks and the mock interviews in the gold room with tables on the 2 floors above. To do mock interviews the whole time we're doing workshops really might require another room. I talked to Sarah and Patricia today about maybe carving out some space in the penthouse, but they both think it's just going to be too loud and distracting. So we have the option of using a room on the 4th floor. So we'll be on the 4th, 5th, and 6th floors of the Student Center. That 4th floor room, we went there with Mark Moss too, and he was like, this would be great for mock interviews because it's really intimidating. So, but then we're talking about being on 3 floors and whether we have, we can manage all of that. I think we probably can, but I've been going back and forth on it. We could also put the snacks in that room, which would draw students down. So it's like snacks and mock interviews in the paneled room. So thanks, Sarah, for checking how many floors there are at the Student Center. So thinking through this a little bit further, if we didn't use that downstairs room and we put mock interviews and workshops in the same room, we'd probably do like a 30-minute of mock interviews, 45-minute panel, 30 minutes mock interviews, 45-minute panel. And then the first panel would be different than the second panel. If we wanted to do nonstop workshops and use the other space for the mock interviews so they could both be happening simultaneously, we could do forgive my initials, but you know what I mean. The JCR from 4:30 to 5, the HWB 5 to 5:30, back to JCR for a half hour, and then back to HWB for a half hour, so that there'd be 2 opportunities to see each one of those panels for, young people who weren't going to stay the whole 3 hours. Thank you. That was long. I know it was long, but those are the two visions. And that's assuming that you accept the premise that we do it panel style, which I understand is up for discussion.
So first of all, I'm gonna call you 3 the triumvirate. So thank you guys very much for all your help with all that planning and the thoroughness. And so I do have some questions. I see Dwayne has his hand up. So Dwayne, you're up.
Thank you for that, team, Sean. I actually like that last idea, so I'm gonna put my vote in for that last idea where we kind of switch it up, allowing for folks to be able to participate in a panel or mock interview, and it also just this way, if kids come in, late or early, they still have opportunity to participate in a workshop or a panel discussion rather, and a mock interview session. So I like that idea. I'm going to throw my vote in for that one, but I mean, others are free to vote. We're a democratic group, so.
Well, in order to be super democratic, I mean, I started with this premise that there would be panels because the other option is to let each organization, there's 5 of them that I've marked out as being panel worthy. So we could do 5 separate workshops, a little bit shorter than the half hour, and just let each group have its own time and run through only once, each group only once.
So personally, I like the idea of a panel with, I guess, those 5 or so organizations. Just because I'm just thinking of the experience from the nonprofit roundtable, and one of the things that was consistent was that a good portion of the organizations were excited to meet other organizations in the same space as them. And so I think some of that energy can also transfer and show itself again in the panel, right? Where if these organizations already know of each other, great. And if they didn't, then they're on that panel talking about a similar topic, but they could each be interested in seeing how they approach it. My question regarding the panel is, if we go with this approach, right, where it's like panel for, right, 45 minutes, and then I think it was 30-minute resume workshop, and then panel 45 that, who would be the panel moderator, right? Is it, do we know yet if it would be one of the volunteers for the event, or would it be someone from one of those 5 organizations who would be moderating it for the remaining groups? That's my question, just in terms of who would be moderating the panel.
Yeah, I guess I was imagining them as being pretty self-moderating, but there, you know, we could make sure we had somebody in the room and figure that out so that if
Okay.
they get stuck, there's somebody to facilitate and get them
Mhm.
over the hump. And it looks like the panels there's comments in the chat too. So I think that seems like the way we're gonna go. And then each panel going twice and using the downstairs intimidating room. Is that the other way that's where we're leaning?
Remind us again. You were thinking it could be an option just because from the walkthrough, having the panel and the, what was it? There were 2 things sharing the same space that would be too loud, right? After the walkthrough, that's what you were thinking.
Yeah, that the mock interview should be in their own space,
Mhm.
rather than being in the space where there's tabling going on at the same time.
That makes sense. I agree with that.
Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll let Mitsu Adams from the Student Center know that we're taking this additional space tomorrow.
Cool. And then Joanne, good evening. I see you have your hand up, so you're up.
Hey everybody. So just to sort of re-solidify what you're thinking, I think it's, if you're thinking about putting the mock interviews on a floor, which is, you know, 2 floors down from the main exhibition space, I think that will work. That it sounds like if you're going to go to a mock interview, you're motivated, and more motivated than actually going to a workshop. So having somebody go 2 floors down to attend a mock interview sounds about right to me. And it will feel probably, even though you say the room is a little more intimidating, might feel more intimate and quiet. So I just wanted to add those things.
Yeah, it's actually just it's the 5th, 6th, and 7th floors that we'll have, and then the paneled room is on the 5th floor. So it's just going down one more set of stairs. And then we've got to figure out too, the snacks might also be down there just because of how much space there is in that room. So they'll be motivated for the mock interview, but motivated for a snack too. So I think that works in that shared space. I was just worried about there being, you know, the number of volunteers, and maybe I'll see if we can set up a kind of tape off the hallway or block it, just to not to totally prevent, but to discourage some additional, you know, discourage our attendees from going down the 5th floor hall where there's nothing else being offered to them.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And so trying to think, do we have, so Dwayne, I see you have your hand up. What's up?
You can I don't know if you had another question. I just a question around logistics for the day. How early are we going to get there? How early, if we're volunteering and we do have the time to come and help out for the whole day with you guys? You know, how early are you guys going to get there? Do you need help at the district office? That sort of thing.
I think we're pretty good getting our stuff from the DO to the to Brooklyn College, and setting up the day of. There isn't that much other than putting signs out. So I don't know that we need that many people that early, but if we're starting at 4, if people want to get there by 3 is when we're telling organizations they can show up, right, Sarah, Patricia? So 3 o'clock would be the earliest, and then that will help orgs get to their table. So we'll need, you know, a few people at 3. And then the cleanup for this event is sort of my favorite thing. There's almost no onus on us for that. So there wouldn't be anybody needed after that 7 o'clock hour. Oh gosh, and I mentioned that Mark Moss came with us to do the walkthrough at the Student Center. We had talked about, this is also came up at our last meeting. We were talking about filming and photography and stuff like that. But what he's going to do is he's going to film the workshops, so that the workshops then live as a resource on the website, the way, you know, on our YouTube channel. We went back and forth with the idea of getting the organizations to do videos, as you had suggested, Dwayne. And then I remember I responded sort of like, oof, to that. But then I thought about it and I excited about it. But then I had to walk back that excitement too, just because of the work that would have to go into just setting it up. But I think that the workshops you know, the workshops being videoed kind of checks a lot of boxes without raising some of the questions and concerns that we had.
You're on mute, Dwayne. Dwayne, you're on mute. Yep, you're on mute.
No, I was saying, I think that's a great, let's say, compromise in a sense. For me, it was just about having the content on our YouTube page that young people or their parents could go to afterwards, to be able to be able to reference. Because when we had it done in 2021, when we did it virtually, I know a lot of people after the fact that I was able to send them to our YouTube page and say, go check out these organizations and what they do and try to get your kid involved, you know, or sorry, your young person involved.
I have no debate with you on the value of those things and how,
Yeah.
and that it could have, would have, you know, been good. And maybe it's something we can revisit next year. It just didn't have the back end capacity this year.
Completely understand that.
Last time, the whole thing was centered on the platform that it was happening on. So it was already set up to accept that.
Yeah.
Carl, you're on mute. If you're speaking, you can't be heard yet.
I was sometimes my own villain, so I just was. So thank you for the heads up on that. Yeah, I guess the only question I have is the one I've asked before. Is just that sounds like a great idea that Mark Moss could film the workshops. The question I have is the same one before, just in terms of what is it, like the video release or the filming release, whatever that term is. And so I'm just thinking, you know, since it sounds like that's something he would be doing, is this the kind of thing where the registration form, I forget who mentioned it, right? Is it that the registration form kind of implies that, hey, like by signing up you're okaying to be filmed in the event of something like, okay, got you.
I
Yep.
actually should answer that because we didn't put that on the registration form. I can put it on now. The other thing that I've seen, and I think we might just want to do, is to add to our printing queue a sign that we put up that says, filming is taking place in this location. If you enter this space, you consent to being filmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's it. So let me see if so Joanne, I see you have your hand up. You're up.
Thanks. Well, I wasn't sure what the plan was for filming, but you know, when I first heard about it here, my guess was that the camera was just going to be towards the presenters, and that incidentally perhaps you would hear questions from the audience, but they would be anonymous. So I think with regards to protection of identity, that wouldn't be such an issue, and I don't think we have to be so nervous about it. You know, you can still post a sign in the room to say your audio is going to be recorded as a question. We don't want to discourage questioning, but my instinct when I heard this was that the camera was just going to be pointed towards the panel and that the questions would be incidental. So I think that's okay.
Okay, got you. Thank you for that guidance. I didn't even think about that, like where the camera specifically would be pointing. And then Dwayne, I see you have your hand up. Give me a second real quick. I'm just checking to see if anyone else has their hand up. All right, you're up.
Just on the point of the media release, having done some public events in the past, as long as we have something posted, my understanding has always been As long as we have something posted somewhere, general media release, informing the public that there is going to be photographs taken, videos taken, audio being recording, and that information may be posted on our public spaces for consumption by the public, then it's, we should be okay. Anyone not wanting to participate, can always, step out of the room or do their best to avoid being on camera or being recorded. So that's been my understanding. My experience was using, doing it with state sponsored public events. So I'm not sure if the city's any different, but I don't anticipate that it would be.
We'll try to catch up with ourselves to make sure that there is, some wording there, because in addition to we've always taken pictures at the event. The website is of young people interacting at tables and such, and it, becomes its own sort of self-promoter. So we'll do the signage. We can add it to the link. We can send out when we send it, we can even talk about possibly sending out a confirmation to those who have registered. Sarah's nodding. And then we could put some wording in that confirmation so that everybody has a heads up. So we'll catch up to ourselves on that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And so give me a second. I'm looking. I don't see any hands up for additional questions. Actually, that's a good question. I don't believe we do have a hashtag. Yeah, that is true. We don't have. I don't think we have a hashtag. Do we? Do we have a hashtag for this youth conference? We have in the past, but I don't know if we have one for this one.
Sarah, Patricia, did we don't, do we? We talked about it. So no.
Okay. So not yet, Dwayne. TBD. We'll figure it out.
Do you want to make a suggestion? Do you want to? Because Sarah and Patricia are the ones who would do it. So speak now, because if it's going to happen.
In the past, we used CB Youth, because that's also the name of the channel, and CB14 Youth Conference, which is very long. Brooklyn Youth. But nothing, I don't know, Sarah's doing the social media this year, but other than CB Youth or CB14 Youth, CB14 Youth, there hasn't been really anything else. And also our social media is quite limited. So I would say, if you have something, a good idea, you can take it away, because we don't have such a big following that it will make any difference really to have a good hashtag or not.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for that, Patricia. We appreciate that.
And then also Sarah drew up a map today of, sort of where our flyering should, sort of the dense areas, commercial areas. So for anybody picking up flyers who has a spot in mind, then, we'll try to make sure that there's not overlap. Florencia came in today and took gobs of flyers, which was great. And Eric has agreed to stop in tomorrow, and Carl's getting his hands on some tomorrow evening. So, but we could use a lot more flyerers, because that was hard to say. So be one. And then, yeah, I'm gonna just another sort of nudge to please have, if you're volunteering, if your spouse is volunteering, if you're rounding up volunteers from an organization other than CB14 that you're sorry, I just got distracted. Anyway, we need to know, your intention to do it is great, but we need to know so that we know, and we know we have enough people, and we know where we need to really knock on some doors to bring some folks there. So Florencia, that is great. Put it, but fill out a form so I don't have to remember sentences and chats. Where's this photo booth thing coming from?
Oh, it's there's a mention about having it, and then
I can ask if they still have it around. One of my favorite pictures is of you and me, Carl, in the DOT photo booth.
Yep, exactly. That was fun. That was
Yeah,
fun.
it's cool. We'll see what we can do.
Maybe I asked for the board members and the staff and not so much for the youth.
Fun is relative.
Like, we should do that. The kids will love it. All right.
Oh man.
Volunteer forms back in the chat, everybody.
Mhm. Exactly. And so let me see. I'm checking the list. I don't see any hands up. I'm trying to think. Let's see. So we have, we had our presentation from Mordechai on Kojo and the SYP stuff was very helpful. And then for this planning so far, we got a rundown of the number of students and organizations that have signed up so far. So thank you folks for sharing that. And then also, the links for volunteer and organizational sign up. We got a timeline in terms of when people who do sign up for the volunteering will get an email regarding the slots that they would be responsible for. And then we also agreed in terms of which approach for the workshops as well too, the workshops and the resume. Oh yeah, the panel and the workshop, right? So we agreed on that stuff. Hashtag TBD. Trying to think what other stuff. And then yes, like also the map for flyering has been shared, and various people have the flyers that they'll be picking up to help with the effort. So we appreciate that. And I know there's a few people in the chat who volunteered to reach out to schools and then also gave some contact information for some schools. And so we'll be following up with those various people. So thank you very much for that. So I'm just thinking, is there anything else planning wise to address on this call? I can't think so. Actually, I can't think so. I don't think so. I can't. Yes, the wrong word. I don't think so.
You could if you tried.
That's true. But then that'd be a different universe.
Yeah, I should also mention Joe Frayne isn't here with us tonight, but Joe Frayne Legond, who's always been such a stalwart supporter of this event, also was the first to grab flyers.
Awesome.
So
Excellent. So then in that case, on the agenda, we do have other business, but the only other business I can think of is just an idea that popped in my head. I know the April calendar already went out. And so what I'm wondering, this is just an idea that popped in my head. I'm just wondering, as when the May calendar is being set, if things work out, is it possible to have a May Youth Services Education Libraries Committee meeting? And if so, is it possible to have two things on the agenda? One of them being, a recap of our thoughts on how the April 3rd Youth Conference went. And then the second idea too is what used to be the CVS on the corner of Cortello and Flatbush, that's becoming like an early education center. And so I'm just wondering, do we know if we've heard anything from whatever entities would be responsible for running that center in terms of like what their plans are in terms of family enrollment, outreach, just all that stuff? Just because I see the building, they're doing construction. Actually, no, the construction's done, but like, I guess they're still doing the interior, but it looks like things are happening. And so I'm just wondering if we can find out, if we can get a name or some names affiliated with that building into a May meeting, that'd be nice.
Okay.
Just to get in front of those people. So those are just ideas. That's it.
Sure, give it a go. I thought that was a DOE pre-K.
I think so too, because it has the colors and I see the names, but the DOE pre-K stuff is like, it's tricky because you have like, there's a specific term. It's like, there's a word I'm looking for and I know it because
There's still going to be a provider through the DOE program provider.
that's the thing. There's a certain terminology and it's escaping my head because I know the acronym for it, but I can't think of it right now. It's killing me. But it's like it's acronym soup, but there's a pre-K to 3K. Some of the terminology is slightly different compared to like the school age kids, right? And so it's just that kind of stuff. But yeah.
I'll see what I can find, and I'll see if I can bring them to the table.
Okay, yeah, those are just my ideas. So, all right then. So, seeing no other hands up, then, whoops, yeah. So seeing no other hands up, folks, then I guess that concludes tonight's meeting. And so, thank you, folks, very much for all of your time and your support and all your hard work. I really appreciate it. And have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
folks.
everybody. See you guys tomorrow.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.